Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. Well, you know how I like to get my video podcast. I always started with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, let's get started. How's everybody doing? Today's Sunday. So happy Sunday, everyone. Hope everybody's having a good day, good morning. Personally, I'm doing okay, I guess. I struggled a little bit this past weekend with, I guess just the depression and maybe a little bit of triggers, maybe wanting to use just slightly. It was there, the feeling was there, and it was because I was talking to a few gentlemen that were really considering using, and so as much as I tried to talk them and into not using and giving them a little bit of a few words of encouragement, after I left from that place of talking to them, I found myself thinking about it more, and that's just the addictive mind. It's just becoming a baffling part of of being an addict. And you tend to, if you find just a little window of opportunity to start manifesting a thought into your mind, and you tend to go with it. And the trick is to recognize it and know when to shut it down and know how to shut it down. And for me, it was reading a little bit that particular day, and then engaging in a few positive activities, and so that's what I did, and it allowed me to move on from that thought at that particular moment in time, and um, thank be to my higher power that I was able to recognize and move on. So what I wanted to do today is just read something to you that I read in it's just part of the New Living Translation Bible, and I don't like to make my podcast this whole religious thing, in that sense, but if you're trying to recover from any type of addiction or any type of bad karma entity, anything like that, whether it's anger, whether it's depression, whether it's PTSDs, whether it's any type of post-traumatic experience and addiction, it all kind of molds into one in a sense, and it all boils down to a spiritual connection and a higher power, and for me that's Jesus Christ. And so that's why I tend to read a few things, spiritual things and that sort of thing, to kind of, and this is just my perspective on addiction, and how I was able to get out of it, and how I was able to get out of being homeless and being addicted to drugs. So I'm just going to read this to you guys, and then go over a little bit, and let you know how this reading that I'm going to give you, how I interpreted it in my world of addiction and recovery. So if you would, let me get to reading this thing, and I'm going to have to put this mic down. Hopefully you can still hear me, but because I don't have my glasses, so I'm going to have to kind of put the book right in front of my face, I guess. Let me put this down, and it's reading. Okay, this says, addressing the believers in Rome, Paul writes what is most likely the meatiest missionary fundraising letter ever written. To Jesus' followers living directly under the shadow of Caesar, he is appealing for help to bring the gospel to the western part of the empire. As an apostle, Paul has been set apart to make the royal announcement about lordship of Jesus, God's plan For the world has been revealed through a descendant of King David, Jesus the Messiah. The message demonstrates that God has been faithful to his covenant with Israel. The flow of the letter follows the pattern of the ancient Jewish story of slavery and rescue. Humanity is in exile due to the entrance of sin and death into the world. Even the Jewish law could not defeat death and bring life, but God has come to rescue both Jews and Gentiles through the death and resurrection of Jesus. A new worldwide family is being created. Baptism into Jesus breaks the power of evil and brings freedom. The Holy Spirit leads the way into the new life that will complete in a new inheritance, a redeemed creation. Although many of Israel had failed to believe in the Messiah, this ended up bringing the rest of the world. This ended up bringing life to the rest of the world. The offer of life through Jesus remains for all. However, and in the end, God's mercy will triumph over judgment. The closing emphasis is on the practical shape of a redeemed humanity's new way of life. And it's a breakdown on what the book of Romans is talking about, and it is, man, I can really relate to that because it's talking about bringing a stop to something chaotic in these people's lives, and it's talking about bringing death to that, and in return getting this new life, and doing that through the belief that the Messiah Jesus Christ came to save them from that famine and giving them an opportunity. It says creating a new humanity and baptizing for this new way of life. And man, I can, what really hits me when I read that is that I've gotten baptized quite a few times. You know what I mean? I don't believe that there's anything wrong with being baptized more than once, because it allows you to regenerate yourself if you get lost. And in my case, I was lost through the world of homelessness and addiction to drugs, and so I could remember years back as an adult. I can remember when I was baptized, when I did like my first communion and that sort of thing. And then I grew up in a Catholic home, and so I knew that I had been baptized, and then I knew that I had gone to the next level of doing the communion and that sort of thing. But as I got older as an adult, I decided that I was just going to believe in Christianity. Not saying that the Catholic Church is bad, but I mean, I just believe that Jesus is the way, and that's my higher power. And in the sense of this reading, what I just read is that those people were getting baptized to cleanse themselves of all the sin and evil and death and stuff, and starting this new way of life through the belief of the Messiah. And I can remember being an adult, and I was going to get baptized, and I was still in the stronghold of addiction. And I can remember going to my church. I was a member of my church. I was a faithful member of church. I would go every Sunday. I would go on Wednesdays. But what no one at the church knew is that I had this stronghold on me that was the addiction to drugs. And I remember getting baptized and asking God to forgive me for my sins, and that I believed in Him. And I was high on cocaine when I got baptized. I literally was, and I can remember going to church, being late for the baptism, and my wife was already there. I had told her that I would be there in a minute, that I had a few things to do before I go, and all I wanted to, and I didn't have anything to do. All I was doing was, doing a couple of more lines of coke, and then I finally, got enough nerve to get in my truck and get to the church, and I had to psych myself out just to go because I was so paranoid. And but no one knew. No one knew that that's what I was going through, and so, you know, for me being able to get out of the world of addiction through a spiritual awakening um, is proof that, even though, like it said, that some people didn't believe, but it brought the actions of the Israelites and that sort of thing, and the actions of Jesus, going and saving the people, is proof that you could be in this dark world and be saved. You know what I mean? You can be in that world of addiction and that world of homelessness and thinking that nothing is going to happen better for you, that you're just stuck here, and how could I get out? And you think that there's no way out. But by the grace of God and my higher power, I was able to get out of that. You know what I mean? There was things that happened that went into place, and they weren't by accident. You know what I mean? They weren't by accident. This was what was supposed to happen for me to get out. Why? Because I asked God, I asked my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I said, please save me. I'm tired of this life. I don't want to be here. There has to be a better way. I'm asking you, please. I give myself up to you to please come and save me. And He did. And when I prayed that prayer, and it wasn't just there's never just a set routine of how you're supposed to pray. Praying is just speaking out loud and talking to God of your understanding that you believe from deep down in your heart and soul. And for me, when I did it that day, the next day, I got pulled over and I got busted with drugs and I got sent to jail. But because I did that, because that's what happened to me, I was able to get to a treatment center through being incarcerated in jail, and I was offered a 60-day program and wound up staying there almost 70 days. And then from that program, I wound up going to a transitional housing facility for veterans. So from going to be homeless and selling drugs and being homeless and doing drugs, living in motels and in bandos and in tents, my life got changed around. And now I'm fixing to get my apartment that I'm getting through the transitional housing facility and the veterans program there, and I'm clean from doing drugs, and I've gotten partially, my life is being recovered, and by no means has it been all the way recovered, but it's getting there. And if this time last year I would think that I would be sitting here making a video podcast talking to you about that, I would have called you crazy. You know what I mean? I would probably cussed you out and kept on doing my drugs. But nonetheless, I'm here, and I'm here, reaching out to somebody who listened to the message, and that there is hope, and there is possibilities, and that there is a way for you to get out of doing the drugs, of being homeless, of being depressed, of being angry, of having those post-traumatic stress experiences and stuff like that. And it's just, I would never have thought that I would be here doing this today. And by the grace of God that I am, and I'm grateful for that. But yeah, so that reading, and that's just an introduction of the Romans book in this New Living Translation Bible. That's just giving you an explanation of what this Romans book was about. And it's a prophet, right? And like I've said before in another video, I believe that we, myself and you included, are the prophetic words of this generation, and because we are the people who are able to speak to the people who are in homelessness, who are dealing with addiction, who are dealing with post-traumatic stress stuff, who are dealing with anger, depression. Because why? Because we've been there, because we've done that, and because we've gotten out. And I believe that it's our due diligence and our service work to give that back to the people who are still suffering, because it helped us, and because they're our brothers and sisters, we should be able to go back out and help them get and bring them into this world of recovery and positivity. And I strongly believe that, and that's why I do these videos. Um, but yeah, so I'm grateful. I really am. And I'm grateful that I'm here doing this. You know what I mean? That I'm doing this clean and sober, and doing it with meaning that I, because this is what I want to do. Nobody's making me do this. Nobody's forcing me to sit here and tell you anything. I do this out of out of the kindness of my heart and my heart and soul, and because I believe that I have a message that can help somebody. And yeah, so if right now I ask if you would please, subscribe to my channel. Hit me a like, send me a message, and I ask you these things because the more subscribers I get and the more people who watch my channel is the more people that I'm able to share my message with, and perhaps maybe just saving it and doing that one thing, maybe will help somebody else get into the world of recovery and positivity, and out of the streets, and out of the world of addiction, out of that depression, out of that anger, out of that, dealing with the post-traumatic stress experiences. And it is, I think it's wonderful to share a message and to help other people into this world of positivity. Because I sat in a room full of people one day, and I heard a man's message. I heard his story, and that story that he told of his life experience and how he was able to get out of the world of homelessness and addiction, and how he felt and how he expressed himself. I knew that he was genuine. I knew that his message was real, and I knew that he cared. And I sat there thinking, why is this man who sounds like he's gone exactly through what I have gone, why is he so happy and I'm not? And I decided that day that I want to do what he's doing if it's going to give me that happiness, that fulfillment of myself and of life in general. And that's why I do this. That's why, because I heard a message that changed my life. And I believe that my message will change somebody's life for the better. So I really appreciate you guys watching my videos and staying this long to hear a message that I got to say. And again, like I said, if you'd please just hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, thumbs up, give me a comment. Any subject maybe that you'd like me to touch on, and or maybe I could elaborate a little bit if I've gone through something something similar to what you're going through, and I'll let you know how I was able to get out of it and land at where I'm at today, and spreading of the message of recovery and positivity. And so yeah, it won't cost you a dime to do that. All you got to do is tap that button, and you help someone out. So again, thank you for watching my podcast channel, and I guess until the next time on When the Smoke Clears, I am the Recovery Plug.